Hey, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. How are
Who
you,
are
Gino?
you? Introduce yourself.
My name is James Sandoval, and I am
What do you do?
born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I moved to Texas about 14 years ago.
Awesome.
And fell in love with Texas, and I will never move back to California.
What? So there's quite a few people, it seems like, the last couple of years that have done that. But you did it such a long
I
time
did it before
ago.
it was trendy.
When you did it, what was the reasons back then?
I actually moved here with an ex. Moved here with an ex, and I came for opportunity. I mean, I was born in Linwood, California, and my upbringing was in Compton, Southgate, Linwood.
I was going to ask you, where's Linwood next to?
Next to Southgate, Compton, Watts.
Which, from what I've
is
heard
the
from rap
hood.
videos and
Yeah,
movies.
CPT, man.
Really?
It's Killa Cali, yeah.
What is CPT?
Compton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I never heard it like
yeah.
that.
Well, that's what they say.
Okay.
You said rappers. I figured I'd throw in the.
Sorry, I'm not that versed with that. I just knew it was cool.
No,
so,
yeah.
have you been back to California recently?
Yeah, I try to go twice a year just to visit my family.
Is it
'cause
very different, even the last couple of years?
It is, man. It's very different. And you know what's funny is when I go, I am I'm fully immersed in the Texas life, the lifestyle, and everything that I've created here, and God has allowed me to do here. But when I go back to California, I don't know if I've just completely shifted my mindset or it's completely different. I don't know, because when I moved, I was a kid. I was 18 years old.
Do you feel it's different, like, people? Culture?
Yeah, well, the people
or just
have been rude
pace?
since day one.
Okay.
The people are just very rude. And then, of course, the politics. I don't want to get into that.
Yeah,
it's just a whole nother system out there, man.
So, like, compared to, like, you know how people in Texas, like, people in Corpus, right? We talk about Austin, we talk about San Antonio, Houston, Dallas. Like, it's very different. Like, there's very different cities within this one state. So, up there, do you feel like it's kind of across the board, everybody's the same, or does it shift as you start going north?
It shifts as you start going north.
Yeah.
San Diego and CPT, two completely different animals.
I bet.
Oh, yeah, completely.
And so, the areas that you would like to visit, do you like to go, like, in your hometown, or do you like to go to other areas?
Well, I have to go to my hometown because that's where my mom and my dad.
Oh, they're still there. I
My
didn't
whole
know.
family
Okay.
lives. I have zero family here.
And
in
they've never had a
Texas.
desire to come here? Are they still working? Is
I've
dad retired?
I've been trying to get them over here for the past 2 years, and my dad is he's old school, hard-headed. He's set in his ways, and he keeps telling me, okay, we'll see. And
But is he still working?
Yeah, he's still
Yeah.
working.
How
He
old's your
doesn't
dad?
want to retire. He's 65. And
What does he do?
He works for a trucking company.
Okay.
And what they do is they import-export. So down there in
He's like George Costanza.
Yeah.
Importer, exporter.
Yeah,
He imports more than
import-export.
exports.
Yeah, exactly. No, but he does really well out there, and he owns the real estate that he's living in.
Oh, cool.
So he has a quadplex out there, and he doesn't want to sell it. And I tell him, Dad, either you sell it or you hire my sister.
So wait. So he owns a fourplex and he rents out to his like tenants next to him that he lives in.
Correct.
Smart.
Yes, he lives in one, and then there's 3 others that live
And
there.
that's
but
the house you grew up in?
That's the house I grew up in.
wow.
It's about 580 square feet.
So you're like, who are these neighbors that live right next to us?
Yeah, like literally like butted up next to each other.
Oh, interesting.
And it's right on the train tracks. So like it's what divides Southgate and Watts and then Compton. So it's like all right there.
So how long you been in Corpus then?
Going on 14 or 15 years.
So almost equal to where your time
Yeah,
spent
that's
over
crazy.
there, right?
I don't even want to hear that. But yeah,
No, it's like,
that's crazy.
Well, you're getting older.
I know.
How long have
That's-
we known each other? We've known each other, what, 10 years?
I'd say probably 10 years.
When because you've worked for Rock's Discount Vitamins for a long time, right?
Yeah.
So did you just come to the I think you used to come to the studio when I was on the radio, right? Or I know we used to go visit y'all.
I think so. I think that's probably where we had crossed paths at first.
Because I remember when I used to work at the radio, it was a new thing for Rex and us to start doing endorsements. And
Yeah.
so it was one of those like, wait, so what? We're going to talk about this company and we get to go try the products and we get to just walk in and get
Yeah.
protein bars and da-da-da. Like I wish back then I took my training or fitness a little more serious. Back
Full
then,
advantage of
I
it.
was just younger and skinnier. So I was just like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'll go buy some of this a little bit.
I'm unbreakable. I'm good. Yeah.
Well, dude, as you get older and you have kids, and that's kind of what we're talking about a while ago, is just, last year I reached out to you. It was last year around this time. I don't know if you remember.
I remember.
I had a phone call to James, and I was like, bro, I just got back from New Orleans, and I was so tired and no energy. I stayed home for a few days. I didn't go to work. I just didn't know what to do. And there's another company within y'all's company, which is called Evertitan, right?
Correct.
And so for a lot of people that don't know, this company can help you out a little further than, say, supplements. And so that's kind of the stuff I want to talk about today, just because I'm going close to a year of actually being on it.
Steady.
And it's one of those things that at first I didn't talk about with a lot of people because I was embarrassed. And I think I want to, because I think I've reached a point where I've had people tell me, hey, man, you're looking good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. And I don't say, oh, here's the other thing I'm doing, because maybe I thought, and maybe you've had clients that think this way. I felt like if you go and, by the way, we're talking about like testosterone.
Hormone replacement therapy, basically. And the thing about it, and just so nobody has a misconception of hormone replacement therapy, it's here to optimize your hormones. And the reason why you were feeling the way you were feeling was because you had low T. Mm-hmm. And testosterone is what us men thrive on.
Which is something that people or men at what age start to experience?
30s.
30s?
Yeah, some even younger. It depends on, the lifestyle, the diet and whatnot.
So is there some dudes that go their whole life and they just always have high testosterone, like no matter what, or is it no matter who you are?
Everyone is genetically obviously different, and our hormones fluctuate with time and age. But it also, our physical fitness has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
Because if we're not active, sedentary job, we go home and chill, watch Netflix, you're really not active whatsoever. So that's not helping your hormones. And people don't realize, and it should be talked about more in the I guess in the, what do you call it? Like the mental, can't think of the name. Depression.
Okay.
Like mental awareness.
Sure.
Like,
because if you're a man not feeling the same like you used to, all you can think of is, why do I feel like this? What's wrong with me? I feel depressed, or I feel down, or I feel low energy, and I don't want to get up, and it takes me a little longer to recoup after a long night or eating bad or whatever it is.
Yeah. And that's the biggest, the culprit is our diet, our lifestyle. And
which it sucks, because for a lot of dudes hitting close to the 30s, a lot of men, and the way I used to feel like my early 30s was that, oh, well, I've always been fine. Like I always was able to do these things, eat these things, not work out as much, and then just recoup a couple of days later. And so when it doesn't feel that way, you're like, damn, what's wrong with me?
There's a shift, and we're not aware of that shift. And that's what, when you had reached out to me, I was like, dude, you should probably check out your hormones.
The reason why I want to talk about it is because I felt back then, I'm like, dude, am I taking steroids?
That's what you felt.
For anybody that's never done that, you get a box, you get syringes, you get
delivered to your front door.
Yeah, so it's all these syringes and all these little things. There's times where I've been there, and it's like time to take a shot, right? Tuesdays and Thursdays when I do it, and like the kids will have friends over, and I'm like, oh damn, they're gonna think I'm like smoking, like doing
like
heroin
a drug addict or something.
It feels weird. I'm like, don't look at me. Like I'm gonna go to the room real quick and fill this syringe real quick.
Yeah.
But it's totally normal to start, treating that, and those are all the different things that can really, really help over time. Now it's not an overnight, and that was one of the things
100%.
you were strict to tell me, like, hey, this is not a hey. Tomorrow you're going to feel completely different. Over time, with months, is when you start to feel it. I think that's kind of where I'm at now. It's like, oh wow, this is my second round, and I feel
it's gradual, man.
Different,
and it's gradual to the point where you finally one day you just have like an epiphany, and you're like, I feel amazing. I feel amazing, and I don't know when it happened, but it happened. And people are so used to instant gratification.
Sure.
Like this caffeine right here. Yeah, this is going to give you energy right now. It's going to hit your adrenal glands, and you're going to be ready to go.
Well, for people that have ever taken like fat loss pills, no matter what they are, you're like, hey, cool, I got 30 days, and these 30 days I'm going to rock it.
Yeah.
If someone told you, hey, take these 30 days, and then on day 31, people be like, nah, here's something faster.
Yeah.
Is that what you're used to when you have people that come in? They're like, hey, I want it now, but you have to explain to them like you explained to me. It's going to take time.
And I think that's what separates us in general. Rock's Discount Vitamins, what separates us from the rest is, we're a brick and mortar company, but we roll out the red carpet for our customers, but it's in informing them like how this can help them. And supplements are here to aid you. They're not here to make you. I'm not here to make you completely like a runner or make you a fitness enthusiast. Like, I'm just here to help you and aid you to get to your goal. And then once they get there, they're like, dude, thank you so much. And honestly, in return, it's helped me with all of the connections I made within the city because I've helped so many families and people in general.
Well, there's so many people that, run businesses, they are self-employed, or they have really hard jobs at the base or at the refineries.
And those are questions we ask because...
And there's a lot of people to where I see dudes, I'm sure you saw this too, and I've become a really big advocate for telling people like, hey, look, I used to feel exactly like that, bro. And I don't want to be the guy that's over here because I've heard those guys too, and you're one of those guys, and I'm like, man, he's saying all the right stuff. I know he's right,
but I don't want to do it.
But I don't want to do it. Yeah. I'm scared. I don't want to do that. But then once you actually, take the leap and go, okay, cool, let's see how this works. It's a whole other world, and you're like, you want to like get on the roof and go, all right, dude.
Yeah, and that's what's funny is people would tell me like, man, dude, you're always so upbeat on your videos, and you're always out there. Like some people even say like, oh, it's cheesy, but it's like, no, dude, like I just want everybody to feel this good. because it is a thing. It's a good thing.
Well, especially because at one point in your life, you were a little overweight.
I was
I remember
overweight.
seeing some old photos.
Yeah,
And so was that when you were living, when you first moved here, or was that in California?
That was actually when I moved from California to Texas. The first couple of years were rough on me. I had basically lost everything and broke up with my the mother of my daughter, and it was at a point where like I have no family, but I have my daughter here, so I'm not going anywhere. So it was a rough time for me, and obviously during rough times, it only gets worse until it gets better.
Yeah.
And I was just eating what I could. And long story short, I gained weight and I got obese. And this one day, I just remember seeing this documentary, and it was Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And it's about juicing greens. Not juicing steroids.
Oh, like blending, like
yeah,
green, like,
blessing.
yeah.
And so I watched this documentary for some reason, and this dude just traveled the world with the juicer in the back of his car, and that's all he did. He would go to produce like markets, farmers markets throughout the wherever he would travel, and he would just juice them, and he would do that throughout wherever he traveled.
So that's all he would eat?
That's all he would do is
vegetables?
juice. He was like on a juice fast for 30 days.
Oh.
And then after that, which I never did, I actually supplemented my juice.
I was going to say, are you a vegan?
No. I just supplemented it. I supplemented it for a long time. So I would have 2 or 3 juices a day to help nourish my body, but then I would also eat healthy. So long story short, ever since then, I just never looked back. And then after that day, it's like I knew I was never going to go back there, but I knew that I had to keep working on it on a day-to-day basis and not see it as a chore, but just more of my life. And if I want to feel this good and have the confidence and have the, I don't know, but I just felt so great that I was like, you know what, I'm going to stick with this for the rest of my life. I don't ever want to go down the other path.
So when you started working with the Rocks and you worked there for quite a while, did you know you're going to become essentially like the face? Because I feel that way, and I know in y'all's business for a long time, and I know a lot of the guys, they're all great, Nick and everybody else. It was one of those things that they said, hey, we need someone to get on camera, and they're like, all right, I guess we'll get James to do it.
You know, what's so funny
volunteer?
is I was the yes man for so many years. You have to be the yes man for you to understand and for you to learn the ropes. And I remember it was New Year's Eve, and Rock texts me, and he's like, my man, can you go to KIII and Domingo Live and do a segment on, New Year's resolutions?
Oh, sure.
And I'm like, yeah. And mind you, I was like partying with the family. It was New Year's Eve. I'm like, wait, what time? And he's like, you got to be there at 6 or 7 in the morning. And I'm
on
like,
New Year's Day?
On New Year's Day. And it landed on a Sunday. So I'm like, this is great. And I'm like, you know what? I'll do it. So I ended up doing that. And then from there, it's when Facebook Live had just came out.
Yeah.
Facebook Live had came out, and I was at the Saratoga location. We had just opened it. And I was like, man, I need to start marketing to myself. Nobody knows about this location because we just relocated from Turf Sports Complex to Saratoga. So we ended up opening that location. And with that being said, I put my phone on the door. I taped it with like tape. Yeah. And they didn't have all these gizmos and gadgets that we have now. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't even know like what's the topic. And I just remember like pantsing around the sales floor. And then I just hit the button. And it was like 3, 2, 1.
This is this.
Yeah,
because a lot of the stuff y'all do carry
came out.
Isn't like a, hey, this is a cookies. Like it's a lot. It's very complicated. And I've been there, and if everybody's visited the stores, y'all are so knowledgeable that you're like, wait, what? And it takes a while to kind of get the information and kind of really settle, especially if it's a new to people. Yeah. Where it's like, nah, bro, I've never taken anything. So all these words you're saying and throwing at me, I don't know what you're talking about. So it is something you do have to kind of go a little longer with. And say, hey, look, this does that. And for people that right now, their brain's probably clicking going, wait a minute, so that's the guy I've seen there. What location have you mostly been at? That way they can kind of put a face to
as of recent, I'm no longer in stores. I'm doing the face of the company. I'm doing the videos and the marketing. So I'm the chief of marketing for the company. But for the past 8 years, you guys have probably seen me at any location because I used to float around, and then I ended up staying in Corpus. So I was at the Weber, the Saratoga, or the SPID.
And how many locations total are there?
26 right now. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Amazing. We just opened up in Houston.
Because I remember when it was just the Weber location, and that's when we started doing the endorsements at C101. And I remember going to that one, and like the whole store was essentially like a warehouse of, hey, this is all the products. We have stuff just.
It's crazy. We see pictures.
Shelves.
Yeah, it was all on the floor.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So when Rock started that company, what did Rock used to do before he did this?
Well, he used to work at Sherwin Alumina, which is up there in Ingleside. And he used to work there, and the funny story is he wanted something, a side income, so that his wife wouldn't have to work and obviously care for the kids. So he decided to purchase supplements wholesale and sell them out of his trunk at the refinery.
Crazy.
Yeah. It just,
How do you, I guess back then, how do you even think of that?
yeah,
Like,
how do
where
you
did
think
he-
of that? Yeah, and then mind you, back then there was no internet like we
No
have
social
now.
media
No
and stuff like
social.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just crazy. So he started doing it, and people started knowing like, oh, that's the guy that sells supplements out of
You
his
really
truck.
got to trust a guy.
Yeah, you really do. Like, wait, he's got stuff in his trunk? Like, no, they're sealed. Don't worry.
Hey, I got this.
Yeah,
I got this.
this.
Like, what?
And then after that, his name is Joe, but his last name is Balboa. So people would say like, oh, that's
And he's
Rocky.
all- he's built.
Rocky Balboa.
Got to be Rocky.
So that's why Rocks came about, and that's what you see now. It's just Rocks Discount Vitamins, and now, thanks be to God, man, it's expanded and grown to what it is now.
I mean, if you think about any local business in Corpus, no one has been able to have that many locations, that many, like, just be able to grow that
success
fast.
of that.
Unless Stripes or Whataburger.
yeah, a corporate chain or something. Yeah,
That's crazy. I remember, so I don't know if you know this, I've known Rock since I was a little kid. He used to be my latchkey coach when I used to go to Luther Jones Elementary. And there's one particular memory, and it's really, really funny. So I had a bunch of cousins growing up, and I was always like the chubby one, right? So they're always kind of picking on me, and they would tell me things. And sometimes they would tell me stuff where I didn't know if it was inappropriate or not, and I would just repeat it because I thought it was funny. So they're like, hey, Gino. Well, anyways, I'll tell you the joke. So I ended up telling this girl, and I'm in 5th grade, mind you, in latchkey, and I said, hey, Myra was calling you last night. And they're like, what? You know this one?
yeah. My right nut.
And I was like, who? I was like, my right nut. And so one of the latchkey coach came over and was like, what did you say? And then she took me over to Rock. And it's so funny because he's at the time probably in his like 20s. So
Yeah.
I came over and they're like, repeat what you said to him. And he started cracking up. And so after that, we became like little buddies
Yeah.
in the latchkey just because he was like, this kid's wild.
This kid's wild. I can't control him, but he's funny.
Yeah, he's great. So that's awesome, man. So again, the reason I wanted to have you in here, and a while ago before we started talking, we were talking about a local guy who just did the Boston Marathon. His name's Christian.
Yeah.
Right? And so he had posted a hashtag, and this is one of those things I joke with people. Like my cousin Chris has been working out. We've been trying to work out as much as possible the last, I'd say, year. We've
I see
really
that.
committed a little more. Before it was really just like playing basketball, shooting hoops, like going to the Y. And by the time we were done, we maybe burn like a couple hundred calories, and then we go eat tacos and be like,
Bad
I think
food.
we're not
Defeating the
this is-
purpose,
this is
yeah.
not the scales are messed up because
Yeah.
we're eating all this, and
It's going up.
the Gatorade I just drank is more calories than I just burned.
Yeah.
So when we
By the
start-
way, man, I saw when you started, and you do a great job documenting it. You know,
Oh,
just by
the-
posting it on your story. When you started at 45, you started everything.
It's accountability.
I'm so proud of you, man.
Thanks, bro.
You've
You know
done
what
an
it is?
amazing job.
It helps because when I used to do the radio, and I remember Rex would do this, he would put it out there like, hey, I'm eating good. I'm doing this, da, 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 da. And it was back then an accountability for him of like, hey, if people see me, they're going to call me out.
Yeah.
And so when I started to lose weight back then, I remember doing that, and I would be somewhere, and someone, like a perfect stranger, be like, should you be eating that? I'm like, damn. Were y'all
You're like,
watching me?
oh, yeah.
And so for me and for people that see others doing that, they see the photos every single day. It's like, yeah, we get it. You're working out. It's a little bit of like a pride thing. It's a little bit of an ego thing, but it's also a little bit of a, hey, I need to post this photo. When I did the 75 challenge thing, it was part of the list I had to do every day was take a progress photo every
day.
single day. And because I knew if I didn't take that photo, it's because I didn't do what I was supposed to be doing. I didn't be disciplined enough to do those little things. But over time, you see it. You're like, oh, damn, I actually did it.
Yeah.
I can see it in the photos. And I remember thinking like, okay, I'm going to work out so I can take that photo. Because if I didn't take that photo, I didn't work out. It didn't count, right? But what I was going to get at is the thing that I've been trying to focus on is hashtag hybrid athlete. And for me, when I've seen these different dudes that are hybrid athletes, it's someone who lifts, someone who's gaining muscle, but also someone who puts in a lot of miles. Because usually when you associate a runner, it's like, well, you saw the Boston Marathon. It's a bunch of like skinny dudes hauling ass because obviously it's easier to run when you're smaller. But for me, like I want to find that balance of feeling like I have muscle still, and I look the way I want to look, but also, hey, I can put in a lot of miles and it feels good because it's therapeutic for me. Like I love running. Turn the phone off. I'm just running. Put the music on, and no one bothers me for like an hour,
and
it just feels great. You can't really get that sometimes in the gym, especially if you're distracted, especially if you're busy like you are. And I am. It's harder. So for me, I love those two different things. So is that something you're seeing more of? Like dudes are trying to be the hybrid athletes?
100%. Yeah, a lot of people are doing that because they're trying to keep the muscle on. They're trying to stay anabolic while being a runner. And with that being said, being a hybrid athlete, it takes a lot because now you have to compensate with your diet.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that you're feeding yourself enough food, and when you're running, you're burning a tremendous amount of calories. And then if you're lifting as well, here you are burning a whole lot more calories. And the reason why I love both is because regardless of either one, you're going to be burning calories, but the more muscle you have, the more fat you're going to be burning.
Yeah.
So if you lift weights, you're going to be burning more calories. So you have to compensate, and it's a job to eat that much.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and Christian Sanchez does a great job. He documents
By the
it.
way, this guy who ran the Boston Marathon, I'm friends with him and I'm friends with his parents. I don't know him personally. You do, right?
Yes, I do.
Dude's jacked.
Yeah, I followed his race and everything.
You're like, you look at this dude, you're like, that guy is a runner? He does not look like a runner. He looks like a bodybuilder.
No, yeah, he's definitely the definition of a hybrid athlete.
Yeah.
Like he's a big runner. He just finished up the Boston Marathon, and he did great. I tracked him on the Boston Marathon app, and you can see his run and his miles. It's crazy. He finished in like 2 hours and 53 minutes. Like that's
But a
nuts.
while ago, you were saying you don't like running, right?
I feel like I would have to lose more weight. I'm at 200. I like where I'm at, but if I start running, I'll get shin splints because of my weight. So I would have
Really?
to.
Like I people tell me that too because I mean, right now I'm sitting at 265, right?
Got it.
And so I don't really have like
Really?
I don't have like side aches or chin splints. Like
Yeah.
I don't really have those issues. I don't know if it's because I've been really careful with I'm not going to try to go too crazy. Like I'm not going to just run out there and do 8 miles.
Yeah.
Like, okay, 2 miles, 4 miles. Even when I took a break for a little bit, I started over again and go, cool, 2 miles, 4 miles, 6
Back
miles.
to it.
Back to it, not just go straight out.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I haven't had bad luck.
And that's probably why I did have bad luck.
But I feel it though when I'm running, and I feel everything just
Yeah.
it's like carrying a weighted vest.
For sure.
And so I'm trying to get to I would say for me, I think 225 is probably like a goal.
Yeah.
Where
How tall are you?
225, 6'2".
Oh yeah, for sure.
I
That's
feel
a
like
good weight.
that'll be a good weight to where I won't look super skinny, but also
No, yeah, you'll be that hybrid
it's
athlete.
sustainable too.
Muscle.
Like, it's hard because, like you said, it's a job to eat that many calories and consume that much protein
Yeah.
and making sure like it's good protein. And I'm not adding in all the bullshit.
No, 100%. And I mean, your lifestyle, you're very busy as well. So imagine having to do all the stuff you're doing, and then on top of that, having your meals on point.
Well, that's going back to what I called you about when I didn't have the energy. I was like, dude, I have a lot of stuff I need to do, and here I am laying down, and it's Tuesday, and it's 9:30,
You're like,
and
what
I'm
the
just
heck?
tired. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want to go do it. So for a lot of people that I've seen that are really, really busy, even though they're very, very successful, their energy levels are just shit.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes hand in hand for a lot of people to where like, hey, look, if you want to be this person in this business, you got to have the engines running.
You do.
They got to be running right, because if not, you're just going to crash and burn.
For sure.
Even like Chris last year, like Chris is not a big guy, but he wasn't working out. He wasn't getting that extra training. Like I said, we were just goofing off playing basketball. And I've noticed in him, he goes religiously to F45. Like he's there every single day except Sunday. So he's going cardio days and he's
Every
going
day.
the resistance days. And for him, like I said, he's not a really big guy. He's been able to get that energy back that he lost, and he's younger. He
That's
just
awesome.
wasn't able to. He was one of those people, and a lot of people are like this. I don't have the time to do it. It's like I think everybody has time.
You do.
No
You
matter
just-
how busy you think you are, there's always that time. To,
Well, you ask people, because we get that all the time. When I was in the store, people would always say like, and they would find an excuse, and they would say like, oh yeah, but I just had my baby. I'm like, oh, how old's your baby? They're like 7, and I'm like, bro, 7 years
They're
ago.
120 months.
Yeah, I'm like, that doesn't count. But then also you ask them like, okay, what time do you go to work, and what time do you do this? And they're like, well, I go into work at 8. I'm like, well, you got plenty of time before you go into work. And, I'm not here to enforce it, but I'm here to kind of help you. And that's why I would go in the mornings. I always go in the mornings to work out, just because I love to focus on myself first. So that way the rest of the day I can give myself and pour it into others.
I think that time is good too, because it feels like the world's not turned on yet.
100%.
Emails, phone calls,
Everything.
traffic. Everyone's kind of still asleep, and yeah, it sounds crazy. Like now thinking about it, doesn't sound crazy. Maybe a couple years ago, it's like, oh yeah, I get up at 4:30 and then I go to the gym at this time and da. People are like, what?
Why?
Why? Like, how come you're not staying up all night watching Netflix? It's like, oh, I did do that. That's how I got the other direction.
The other direction.
That's
yeah.
how I
So
stayed like
you
that.
can choose, which one you'd want.
Have you seen any good shows lately? It was like this one or that one, but I'm not going to go binge Game of Thrones. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have the time to do it.
100%.
I want to.
I wish I could watch more TV, but at the end of the day, that doesn't give me
Have
any
you watched
benefit.
anything lately?
No.
Nothing at
Nothing.
all? No Netflix? No movies?
The most recent thing I've done is The Last of Us, but I think I have 2 or 3 episodes to
That
catch
was
up
good.
to.
The last episode was really good.
Oh, wait, no, I did finish it because it just finished, right? Like a couple
Yeah,
weeks ago?
It was like net episodes.
Yeah. What was the last episode?
No spoilers. They go in there. They come out of that barn, and that one girl kills that one guy.
Yes, I
That's
saw
all
that
I'll
one.
say.
Yeah, that's all I saw. That's the last I
Oh,
saw.
dude, I cried
You did?
because
Yeah.
that guy Pedro Pascal. He's in a bunch of stuff that I've seen lately, and he's just a really great actor.
Very good actor.
And there's a scene where that little girl, he's like, "Come here, baby girl," because he's got like this fence up. Because if you haven't seen that show, Last of Us, at the very first episode,
Yeah,
Pedro, who's the main character, he loses his daughter. Which is actually crazy because that show's out of Austin.
Yeah,
the first episode. It's like, what? The end of the world in Austin?
Are they trying to tell us something?
I don't know. That's where it's gonna start. Bunch of crazy hippies.
Bunch of crazy hippies. Yeah.
But no, have you seen Beef?
I have it.
Beef is really, really funny. So Beef is a new show on Netflix.
Spoiler alert.
On what? Last of Us?
Don't talk about beef.
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna.
Sorry, we're getting the ruler over here.
Sorry, that's Jessica. We need to get Jessica a mic. I'm just gonna get her the mic.
All right. She's like,
Beef is a new one with Ali Wong and Steven. I don't know what his name is. He's from like The Walking Dead. Ali Wong's. Have you heard of Ali Wong? She has a comedy special. She's an Asian comedian.
No.
With the glasses. She was like pregnant in two of her specials.
Oh yes.
Yeah, super hilarious chick. And so she's in a really good show called Beef. Did you see any movies? What about like Air?
I've been wanting to go see it.
Air is very inspirational.
Is it?
I felt very inspired by the movie Air, and if you haven't seen that one, that's about Michael Jordan's story and Nike. Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, they're the director, writers of this story. Basically, the story of Michael Jordan and how these guys took a chance on this one guy. And how it's amazing how there's these people out there, and people really upset because they're like, "Hey, how come Michael Jordan wasn't in it? Or how come they didn't even have an actor to play him?" When you're watching the movie, there's scenes where they show the mom, they show the dad. Viola Davis plays Michael Jordan's mom, and they don't show him. It's kind of like a silhouette, or he gets out of the limo and it's just behind his head or like the side. And they asked Ben Affleck, like, why didn't you put anybody in there? He's like, Michael Jordan's Michael Jordan. Like, you can't have someone play him. He's just like this iconic person. That's why they chose not to show him or put him in there, just because he's bigger. His character, his
bigger than that.
Status is bigger than him, which is pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
So that's what I was going to say. What else we got? What else have you been up to? You're a traveler. You been traveling lately?
We went to the Bahamas.
Really? When?
Yeah. For my wife's birthday. So
like
the 15th
to Atlantis?
Yeah, Atlantis.
Oh, dude, did you love it?
Dude, loved it. It was amazing. We had a great time.
So did the Dolphins?
We were going to, but spoiler alert, I gifted this gift to my wife 2 weeks prior to her birthday, and I told her this is her birthday gift, and I gave her tickets to the Bahamas. And then a week afterwards, we find out that we're expecting.
So, there's a real no babies now?
Yeah. So now
that's awesome.
Yeah. So now we're like, okay, so we're not gonna be able to get on the speedboats. We're not gonna be able to do X, Y, Z. So we were just in Atlantis and we had a great time. I drank.
Do you mind
didn't.
staying here? I'm gonna take a friend.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go with a
I
buddy of
want to
mine.
go swim with dolphins.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We were gonna go swim with the dolphins and go with the pigs.
Yeah.
But,
Exuma.
Yeah, but we had to take a speedboat and we couldn't get on the speedboat and yeah.
Oh, dude, when we went for our 10th anniversary. We went to Atlantis, went to the Bahamas, we lined it all up. First day, second day, third day. We were sitting here at the airport. You know the Corpus Airport. There's only so many flights that go out. They had changed the flight. They didn't notify us. It was booked through Amex, and we were just there. It's pouring down. We're pissed. They're like, "Sorry, the plane already boarded." I'm like, "It's right there. Like, it's like I can throw a football to the plane. It's right there. Just let me go." And all the American Airlines came back out. And we're like, why are those people coming back? And the girl goes, oh, you might be in luck. They're deboarding the plane because of the weather. I'm like, so does that mean people are going to get back on? Like, I can go back? They're like, yeah, I think so. So we ended up getting back on. We were going to have to like reschedule everything.
Oh,
first day we took the kids. We did the dolphin stuff. And
that's cool.
It's beautiful over there.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's amazing compared to if you've never been to water like that. It's like, this is real?
Yeah, man.
Like,
the only other water I've seen like that is in Turks and Caicos.
Okay, so you've been to some like really interesting places. So
Turks and Caicos is amazing.
What's been your favorite place you've been?
Greece, man. Santorini was definitely my wife and I's like, and I don't know if it's just because we got married there, but it's just because of,
I would say that's probably a big reason.
It's a big reason.
But what made you go there in the first place?
Well, me and my wife, when we got together, I wasn't in the best,
financial status,
I should say. And I hit rock bottom with my wife because I jumped from the electrical field onto the fitness industry. And it was a huge leap of faith, but there was a lot of factors that were pushing me towards the fitness industry.
Sure.
And I wanted to do something for me. I did the electrical because I was very young. At the age of 20, I was told that we were pregnant with my ex. And when that happened, I'm like, man, I need a job. I need something stable, and I need to go to trade school or do something. And so I did. But then when I graduated and got my license, it's like, this is not what I want to do. I just did this because I needed some money.
Sure.
I needed a car with AC, bare necessities, you know? And then once that happened, I jumped into the fitness industry. And at that time, my lease was going to be expiring for the apartment I was living at. And and I couldn't get another apartment because I had no stable income. I was a trainer. And so it was a very rough time there. So me and my wife had been at rock bottom at that point, got my car repossessed, living out of my car. I remember walking out of the gym. I was at Flex Fit.
They took your car from
And
you.
I showered at the gyms because I didn't have anywhere. I would stay in my car for like 8 months.
FlexFit, the one that used to be between.
Right here on Staples and Sarasota.
Oh, that one. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know why my head thought of Gym X. I don't know why.
I don't know why. Yeah, no. FlexFit.
FlexFit.
You heard the X.
Aaron's Gym. Sorry.
So I was at Flex Fit and I would shower at Gold's or Flex because I didn't have a place to shower at, and I would stay out of my car. And I'm walking out and all my clothes is in there. I'm walking out and I'm like, my car's not here. And I'm like, all right.
How did they find you there though? They just.
I ducked and dodged them for like 3 months. And they finally said, like, this guy's a fitness guy. He's probably at the gym.
got him.
They did some research on me, and they ended up taking it. Called my wife or girlfriend at the time, and I said, hey, I think they repoed my car. She's like, did they steal it? I'm like, no one stole my piece of junk. Like, it's
They took
repoed.
it,
She's
yeah.
like, well, call. I'm like, I don't want it. I'm done. This is it. And she came to pick me up, and that was like rock bottom. I had sold everything from storage. I had my car repossessed. My clothes was gone. I had nothing to my name. And she got there, and I just fell on my knees. I couldn't hold myself up together. Yeah. And ever since then, I just remember that so vividly. And this is fast forward to now when we got married. We were like, why can't we get married in the most romantic place in the world? Where is that? And it's Santorini, Greece. And when you look it up, you'll find like
I've seen the
Santorini,
photos,
Greece.
yeah.
Yeah. And so we're like, well, let's do it. And she's just like, you're crazy. No, we're not. I'm like, no, we're going to do it. So I ended up calling them like very, very late at night or very, very early in the morning before they would close because it's an 8-hour difference. And we ended up booking it, and it was about 15 of us that made it out there.
Oh, wow.
And it was just so scenic. It was like you're on the caldera, which is the top of the mountain, and it just looks like a painting. And if there's no wind, it just looks like a mirror and a painting. So we got married at the highest point in Santorini. So like, it was just an experience, and we were just sitting outside of our hotel, or I guess you can say our honeymoon suites. And we're sitting outside and just remembering everything that we have been through. And dude, we were just crying because we were so grateful that we were like in this time and place right now. This guy from CPT and my wife from CRP are here getting married, you know? So it was such a cool experience, but that's the reason why I probably love Greece so much. Yeah. It definitely has a huge impact on us.
Well, you reached that mountain literally, and
yeah, volcanic mountain.
You can see how far back. I think everybody has those moments where they talk about rock bottom. I think everybody who's done anything in their life where they've gotten away from it, they'll remember that moment because that's the moment that, for some people, breaks them. Yeah, and they don't bounce back. They stay down there 100%. And they go down this really terrible hole of just depression and stuff like that. And there's so many different ways that I think fitness is tied to mental health, which is hard because I've known a lot of people in my life that went through hard times and depression, and their mental health was deteriorating, and a lot of it had to do with their physical health too. It's the body, it's the mind, it's the soul. It all has to.
It's all connected.
It has to
man.
run right, and if it's not running right, then
synergistically they all have to align, and it's like the perfect harmony when you're on point on those things.
For someone that's helped y'all in the company, that's helped a lot of people here in Corpus, is there one person, and you can take a second to think about it, that you can think about right now that's locally, that lives here, that's made a huge turn in their life outside of y'all's company, like a customer, a client?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have so many people that come into mind. And one person that comes into mind, and the reason being is he's actually a cousin of my wife. Okay. He's a cousin of my wife, and he had been trying to join the force for many years. And I don't want to put his business out there, but he tried to join the force multiple times.
Air Force, right?
No, CCPD.
Oh, Force. Okay.
Yes. And well, he wasn't mentally ready for it. And what happened was, he came to me one time when we were at a house party. It was a family party. And we were talking a little bit, and for some reason, it was like word vomit. God wanted me to tell him, like, come to the shop. We're going to sponsor you. We want to change your life. And he was just like...
What was he saying, though, that made you want to talk to him?
He was just telling me, like, hey, man, I'm in the middle of, working at Target, and it's just like, I'm not going anywhere. I don't know what to do, but I want to get healthy again. I want to get back into shape, and I had known prior to like how many times he had attempted, you know, and all of that.
Isn't it crazy how people like that, some people, and I've done this too, you make jokes. They make jokes about it. It's almost like a laughable thing.
No, yeah,
But you know really inside.
truly they're hurting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can feel that. And I felt that, and I work with a whole lot of empathy. So when I felt that, it, like I said, it was that word vomit. And he came by the shop, and we spoke for like an hour. And I was educating him on a whole lot of stuff. Gave him some stuff to take home, and then, of course, supplementation and all of that stuff. And every 2 weeks, he would check in on our in-body scale to see exactly where he was. Mm-hmm. So I would track how good he's doing. Well, he ended up losing over 60 pounds in about 5.5 months.
Wow.
He went back to tryouts for CCPD, and he comes to the shop, and he gives me this letter. And this letter is so heartfelt. I was literally tearing up reading this letter. And he said, all I needed was for someone to have faith in me and someone to think that I can do it. You never let me down from day one. And now I just made it. And he got in, and he's still out there patrolling the streets. Awesome. And it's the coolest thing. And he brought me his belt. He's like, dude, this was my belt before, and this is my belt now. And I'm like, that's insane. So I'm so happy, and I'm so proud of him, you know?
That's awesome.
It's a good story,
I'm sure there's plenty of people like that, and the stories are just the same, where you wouldn't believe how many people touch, even probably people you never even met.
Yeah.
That's one of the fun things about, you know, social media, is that people share their stories, and there's so many other people that are very quiet about it. They don't reach out, but they watch and they listen, and maybe they'll comment or ask a question here and there.
Dude, they're inspired without you even knowing.
And maybe that one question is what, like, it's something
sparked.
It's something they already know. Because when I reach out to you, or when people reach out to you, they already know. Like, people know what to do to be healthier or to lose weight. It's hard to convince yourself. Like, the easiest person to lie to is yourself.
Yeah,
it's hard to lie to the people because there's consequences, and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna let them down. When you lie to yourself, it's pretty easy. It's like, oh yeah, you don't have to do that. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. It's gonna be fine. And then it just goes and goes and goes. Because I'd lied to myself for a long time. I was like, it's no big deal. Like, I'm good. I'm eating good. I'm having a good time. Like, bills are paid. Like, don't worry about it. But as time goes on, it wasn't like an overnight thing. It was because when I started real estate, I was leaving the radio, and I was pretty healthy, and my stress levels weren't that bad. My beard was probably the same color as yours. There was no gray.
Yeah.
And slowly, as the years went on, and I started becoming more comfortable with real estate, I started to gain more weight at the same time. I was eating good. We were going out to eat. I wasn't really worried too much about like training anymore. I actually had hurt myself right when I passed my license. I was with a trainer, and I hurt myself. And I was like, okay, it'll be a few months. This is a good time to study. So I got my license, right? And then as time went on, the years went on, it just got worse and worse. And I look at photos, and it's like, damn, my numbers are really good, but look at my weight too. You can see like the weight going up, because I was just dealing emotionally with stress eating. And as it went on, but then it got to a point, and it was the peak was last year, where it was like, dude, I've never weighed this much. And I got to a number where people are like, what was your highest weight? I don't even know, because I didn't want to get on the scale.
See it. Yeah.
I didn't want to see it. I'm pretty sure I got to about 330, 340, but I never got on the scale at that point, because I'm like, what's the point of getting on the scale? I'm literally just going to be depressed. Like, don't do that to yourself.
Don't want to show it to myself.
And so when I finally gave y'all a call, and I said, okay, here's where I'm at. I'm at 320. Like, that's my number in my head.
You were at wit's end, and that's what I tell people when they walk into the store.
I cried to my wife. I was at the airport, and I was like,
sucks.
I feel fucking horrible. Like, I like, this is fun what we're doing, but I don't feel good.
And
like,
what sucks about it too is it's all self-inflicted.
Oh yeah.
Like, we do it to ourselves, you know?
Yeah,
and
I was the one that went to the buffet, not anybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no one was shoving food down your throat. But what I'm getting at is we teach this to our staff, is like, when people walk into our stores, sometimes they're at wit's end, unless they're on a consistent regimen.
Sure.
But they're at wit's end, and it's their first time there, and they're like, hey, I need help.
And overwhelmed.
They're just overwhelmed. They're broken down. Like, these people need help. And we are just, I guess, a line of hope for these people. And that's why we take it so serious to educate and inform them on what they can do and give them all the tools. So that way, at least we can say we tried.
Is there anything coming up soon for the Rocks Company or for yourself?
We have some really cool hand-drawn T-shirts coming out, high quality. They're actually landing today, so marketing comes out
Y'all been really
tomorrow.
good with the gear over the years. I remember I used to have a ton of rock shirts back in the day.
Yeah.
Do you have any shirts with you right now?
I do, actually. I do have some, because we took some photos for the marketing material that we're going to be pushing out tomorrow. I have some shirts. I'll get you one. I have one in my
I'm
truck.
extra large-ish right
Okay,
now.
I think I have one in there because my extra large didn't show up, so I still have it in there.
That's awesome.
So we got that. We got a customer appreciation day on Saturday, so for our Saratoga location. But yeah, so that's that, and then real estate.
Yeah.
We've gotten some deals done together.
We've had some easy deals actually.
Yeah, some awesome deals.
Luckily.
Yeah.
And is that one of those? So what is that? How does that play into? And I think it plays into my world quite a bit with fitness and my health, just because again I was able to perform better when I felt better. Do you feel like with the stress that you've experienced in real estate now, you're like, oh, I get it why these people are stressed out? Is
Yeah.
that something that you knew was going to happen?
I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
And the first 6 months was definitely because in the first 6 months of real estate, I mean, I remember thinking like, how am I supposed to feel right now? Like,
What do you mean?
Like certain things that would happen. I'm like, I'm still learning. You know, I was still trying to figure things out, and things would happen, and I would be like, what? Like, I don't know how I should feel. Like, this is upsetting, but why didn't the appraisal send back the appraised, home, in a certain date, or just different things that would happen? And I just didn't understand a lot of it. And it's the funniest thing because when you go into the real estate world, I mean, you have some help, but you don't have, full hands on.
I think that one thing people don't understand about real estate is that, especially if you're an outsider looking at closing photos and open houses and all the fun stuff that a lot of realtors will post on social media, behind the scenes stuff is stressful.
Very.
Behind the scenes of relationships and divorces and all these different things going on in people's lives, that when you meet somebody, it's not always hey, I got a promotion at my job and we're going to buy a new house and we're going to sell this one. Life is good.
Yeah, no.
Sometimes the other direction, and sometimes it's financial stress. Sometimes it's just relationship stress.
Yeah.
And so as a realtor, for someone that's helping people in that transition, I'm sure you've learned, it's, hey, I got my own stuff going on, but now I'm taking on all y'all's and all y'all's and all
Everyone's.
y'all's and
Yeah.
everybody involved that I'm going to have to email and call. Everybody that's making this deal possible has a lot of stuff going on, and some people are really good at being professional with it. Some people are really good at, hey, I'm not going to let this mess with the deal. But there is people on all sides that it's like, what's happening here? Like, why is
Yeah.
this, like you said, I don't know how to feel because we're doing everything correct, but why are you acting that way? Why are
There's
you
just
thinking
certain
that
things
way?
happening,
Like,
yeah.
Why do you think I'm out to get you? I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm trying to help.
I'm trying to help you,
I'm
yeah.
here because I know how to do these things. We're here to facilitate it, and you're making this difficult.
Yeah.
More difficult than it already has to be.
And that was, that's 100% true, man. And the first 6 months was just definitely like that. And afterwards, I learned how to manage it just because I can adapt very quickly. I just need to understand a lot of it, and I have to go through certain things. And finally, when I went through certain things, and thankfully I had been busy since I started, so I learned a lot within the first 6 months. I was like fully engulfed with real estate. And once all of that happened, I started to realize like, okay, I get it now. And it's kind of like when I was with Rocks, dealing with relationships, and I was like Dr. Phil at the shop. And
Yeah.
so now I'm like, okay, I can.
Oh yeah, you're
I
more
know
a
how to
counselor than
man-
you are a realtor.
100%. And now I'm like counseling and doing this and doing that. And now I know how to not take it on. And now I can just do what I got to do, And that's when I realized that I'm not emotionally detached, but my empathy is there.
Sure.
And I'm able to assist and, like you said, facilitate that whole
What's
transaction.
been one of the most surprising things about real estate that you didn't realize until you got into it?
I would probably say most surprising things. That's a good question.
Like, what was one of the things that's happened either on a deal or just in general with real estate that you're like, oh, I had no idea it was like that?
I'd probably say just of how lengthy it is.
The process
The
of
process,
like buying
yeah, and how
something?
many people are involved,
Well, especially when I tell people this all the time when they're going through the buying process. Like, a lot of people associate buying a house, if they never bought one before, like buying a car. And when you go buy a car, you kind of get in your head, I want to buy this type of car. You go and you get approved, and then same day, here's the keys. Imagine that same process, but like 30 days. It's like a lot of things can happen in 30 days.
For sure.
That would change.
If there's no amendments.
Yeah.
But-
That would change the trajectory of what they're going to buy, if they're going to buy, it's going to buy this, buy that.
Yeah.
Changing cars and all the different stuff. So with a real estate transaction, because it is a longer process, it's, how do you say it? You have to really be patient with not only yourself, but with everyone involved. It's like, hey, look, we're all going to get there. Let's all work together. And sometimes people don't.
Yeah.
They're like, they just don't want to work together.
100%.
Maybe they have like I said, going back to like stress, everyone's dealing with their own things. It's like, man, you're making this real hard. And I'm
Yeah,
sure
when
you've-
it shouldn't be.
yeah, it shouldn't
Yeah.
be. Sometimes it's supposed to be a happy moment. Sometimes it's supposed to be a peaceful moment for people. Like, hey, I'm trying to get out of this hole. How do we do it?
Yeah, I agree. And I enjoy it, man. I truly do. I enjoy it. I'm actually about to hit my second year.
Awesome.
And I got a whole bunch of continued education hours I got to complete, and I'm not looking forward to it. But May 31st, I got to finish it. So.
Oh, cool. So yeah, my license this month actually is 10 years that I've been licensed.
That's awesome,
so
man.
2013. Was it 13? I feel like. So here's the crazy part. And someone asked me this the other day, like, how long have you been doing it? I'm like, well, I've been doing real estate for, I'd say 13 or 14. But out of those 3 or 4 years, I was doing marketing for the company. I wasn't necessarily doing real estate. I was doing stuff for Chris and James, making flyers, business cards, logos. And then finally when I got my license, it took about 1.5 years, 2 years to get my license. It took a long time.
Yeah.
Because I just put it in the back burner.
Well, that's how it was with me.
How long do you think it took to get your classes?
Well, I had done my first, I think, 3 or 4 courses within, I think I had even shot you a text or a message. I remember we had spoken briefly about it.
I'm pretty sure I told you Champion because that's what I tell everybody.
It was Champion. That's what I went with. I ended up going with Champion, and then I got my first 4 courses done in 6 months. And then after that, I got super busy, and it was like, oh, you got a raise here. So it's like, oh, cool. I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
And then it was 2018, and then I didn't finish it until 2020. But I was already on the 4th course. I'm like, I should have just done it. But I was just like, I'm going to wait. And then I got so busy that I just never went back to it. And then lo and behold, 2020 came, and I'm like, dude, I got time. COVID's here. We slowed down at the shops. And
Is that when you got your license?
In 2020, during COVID. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it was nuts.
I think a lot of people made a transition during that time.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've known people that started a business, got out of a business, got out of a career. Really, it was like you said, here's the time to reflect on it.
100%.
Have you had a hard time finding the balance between the two?
In the beginning, I mean, the first 6 months was just I always have to learn the balance, the lifestyle. Even when I started working from home a couple years back, I was like, okay, I'm working from home. This is cool. But then I'm like, wait, I still have to follow my regimen. I stopped working out in the mornings. I was like, I got all day.
See?
So things started to just go south. And I'm like, no, I got to go back to my grounds. So again, started working out at 4 in the morning, 6 in the morning, and then go do everything I got to do and then get ready for work. And it's like, why do you have to get ready for work when you're working from home? I'm like, you don't understand. It's mental.
Mental,
dude.
yeah.
So I would go home, shower after working out, get ready, and then I'd go work in the office. And then I'd do everything I need to do. And then as I was learning all of this, I realized okay, I know how to balance my lifestyle. It's my phone.
Oh.
I know how to balance my lifestyle a little bit more now. I got to keep myself on point. Otherwise, everything goes south. And that's where health and fitness come into play.
Going back to
going back to that. And it all ties into that. And that's why when we talked about it earlier, where it's a big deal for depression, people who are depressed out there.
So who motivates the motivated? I asked a lot of people. Who do you get motivated by? And not family.
That's what I was about to say. Definitely my kids and my family. But outside of family, I truly don't.
There's nobody you follow or look up to or mentors that you have?
No.
No?
I just have blinders on. It's the weirdest thing. And I just go. I just know that if I rely on anyone else, there's a possibility that they're not doing something that day. And now I'm going to say, well, I'm not going to do something that day. And I say that because we've all had gym partners where you go to the gym and you go work out and you have this gym partner. Well, the gym partner doesn't show up and you're like, oh, dude, my partner's not here. Who's going to spot me? And you start thinking of all these excuses when in reality, you don't need a damn spotter. You can spot yourself. Just be obviously wise about it and learn how to make sure that you can basically take accountability for your actions on your own.
Sure.
And
that's a hard thing to do.
Very.
For a lot of people, especially I think being self-accountable. Yeah, being self-accountable in any subject is pretty hard. Hey, you got to go study this. And if no one's doing it there with you, if you don't have a partner, if you don't have a group you're working with, it's kind of wait, I got to be the one to wake up? Yeah. And that's the whole other thing about being self-employed.
Yeah, 100%.
I got to wake up and work.
I got to do it myself.
Because there's that freedom that comes with being self-employed where you get to make your own schedule, you get to your own things. I think a lot of people that get into real estate, for example, they're like, oh, I just have every day off and it's da-da-da. It's sure, if you want to, but then after a certain point, you're like, oh damn, there's nothing in the pipeline. Yeah, what am I doing? I need to start working again. Shit, I got to get home.
That's when you really know what they say when they say it's what you do when no one's looking. Mm-hmm. That's for self-employed people. It's what you do when no one's looking. If you're actually out there hustling and bustling while you're self-employed, then you're gonna go somewhere. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. And the reason why I joined real estate was my wife was going back to school. We had just had our son, and we didn't want to sacrifice the lifestyle that we were currently living. And we've been at rock bottom. Mm-hmm. We don't want to go back there. So I'm like, well, you're going back to school. I need to generate some more income for the family. and you don't need to work because you are taking care of our children and you are going to school. So that's a lot in its place. So started real estate, and dude, God had bigger plans for me, and it's just, continuing to grow for me. So
That's awesome.
I love it.
That's
Definitely.
awesome. Well, bro, James, I always say this is Gino's table. You bring a lot to the table, obviously. I appreciate you coming in. This has been a lot of fun. Again, thank you. I want people to, if they heard the beginning of us talking about the HRT and am I saying that right?
Hormone replacement therapy,
Yeah.
HRT, yeah.
It's not steroids. It's not.
It's not. It's not.
It's a normal thing that as a man growing older, I had to kind of buckle down and go, hey, look, this is something I need to take care of. If not, there's going to be other injections I'm going to have to do.
And mind you, women also have hormone replacement therapy.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Because women have hormones as well. They don't have as much testosterone as men, but you do have to optimize your hormones. So keep that in mind too.
For anybody that's looking to just but really change their life, I want them to reach out to you. Look out to the family at Rocks. Shout out to Rock. My man.
My man.
And if you could take one of these markers real quick and
Sweet,
if
man.
you can sign our table, I appreciate you, sir. It's been awesome.
Appreciate you, Gino. Thank you for having me,
Yes,
man.
sir. Is that one going to work?